Hello everyone, good to see you again. By the title of this video, you probably guess what this video is gonna be about. Bitching and moaning about how WoW is bad, everyone should unsubscribe, and should just quit the game. If you thought this, then congratulations, you are absolutely correct. The game is no longer fun. The daily chores of the average casual player at this very patch of WoW is this. You do your dailies in Corphia and the mod to max out your rep with the factions, do the Covenant callings, do some Mythic Plus to get some loot if you're a PvEer, and some arenas and RBGs if you're a PvPer. Then you remember that you need Mythic Plus score and RBG or PvP arena rating. Nobody accepts you to your group because you have no rating. You cry because you lack friends and guildmates. You log off. And you repeat that. And this is the weirdest part of all, that I have put on with this for 6 months. The mindless routine of doing your daily shit and then logging off because there is nothing fun to do in the game besides thinking of things to do for yourself, like mount grinding and transmog collection. Of course, if you have the necessary rating and gear, you can do Mythic Plus and higher forms of PvP, but most likely most players can be bothered to do such things because they require firstly other players, and this is the main problem of many players. The time requirement to find friends to play with endgame content is insane. Not only time, but the dedication you must put forth is incredible. You need to be online when they are online, play quite a while to get something good, be it good rating in Mythic Plus, gear, or high rating in arena. Heck, if you're a raider, it takes even more time to kill all the bosses in mythic raids. You might sacrifice 2 or 3 evenings each week just to get one boss down with the boys. There is no other choice because in PvE there isn't like some solo hard mode challenge for you to overcome alone, and in PvP there isn't a solo queue arena where you could get rating on your own. There's only fucking heroic dungeons for PvEers and BGs and skirmishes for PvPers. Not much to do for a casual lone gamer. It doesn't help that getting better PvP items requires a shit ton of conquest points and actual rating in rated PvP. Even leveling alts is a chore, even with a decrease in necessary levels from 1 to 60. Even when you level up your character, you will face the same kind of routine as before. Also, a big part why I quit was because the fucking wait from the launching patch of 9.1 and patch 9.1 the wait is insane. 251 days. More than 8 months if you played from the launch of Shadowlands. Jesus fucking Christ. Even though I had quit after the first month for a couple of months because I had no working computer, playing the game for 4 to 6 months of the same patch got me to realize how little content WoW has to offer. Of course, to give myself some extra game time, I did some old content. I tried to get some mounts, some achievements, which I had missed out, but even those felt like a chore. The wait just showed how little there was to do in the current patch and how much the WoW dev team was behind. This is where systems like in Final Fantasy XIV would fix this problem. I have many guildmates who have started playing recently, Legion or BFA, and for them to do all content like in Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King, it would give them something new to experience. But to start doing it, there is no incentive. You don't get gear from it or many rewards. If you want rewards, you only might get transmog or mounts from old raids. Pretty much there is no incentive to do old quests and experience the entire world of Azeroth. And even when we get to the new patch, there weren't many things to do. Mythic Plus and arenas and RBGs were the same as always. Of course, there was a new zone to explore, but most players had already explored it in the very first days of the patch launch. They added dailies and Covenant assaults, but there was not enough new content to do. And here I reached one of the few big realizations that I had. The game is heavily time gated. To get most from the game, you have to wait. If you want to be more powerful, you need to wait a couple of months till you unlock all the necessary things through the renowned system, which is absolutely stupid. Putting time gates in your player's face just to make them realize that they are playing a silly waiting game, it just takes you out of immersion. I remember in Mists of Pandaria when the only thing that was time gated was the conquest gear. And still, it kinda made sense. And it wasn't so freaking annoying. When time gating feels like time gating, that is when you know, as a developer, know that you have failed to make a proper time gating system. Also making everything so hella expensive in patch 9.0 with anima. Like, fuck's sake. It could have taken you a couple of months of just farming anima to get everything. Like, I'm talking about when they added the bonus power up to the anima when you unlock all the covenant stuff. Before that, it would be a nightmare to get anything. Heck, I didn't even try to unlock more stuff in my sanctum before the buff to anima gains, because I was just fed up with farming WoW quests over and over again for petty amounts of anima. Making your players farm for farming's sake is a poor reason for time gating and resource gate stuff. It doesn't make your game longer lasting, just makes the player base wait till you remove that shit, because the players already know from the actions you did before that you will remove that time gating system later on. Like, goddamn, you even fucking time gating your story so hard that it's boring to wait for it. Like, I would understand if you time gate like 4 to 8 hours of questing behind a weekly wall. That is understandable, but time gating quests that you can finish in 30 to 60 minutes is insane. Like, literally, you can log on once in a week, finish all the weekly stuff, and fuck off till the next week. This is not only the waste of a time gating system, but this is also a waste of player subscription money. It doesn't help that the story is meh.
Since the release, like, it was okay at the start, but right now it's definitely not the best lore in over a decade.
But also, I'm just so tired of the lore being like this. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like, whenever it was just way more straightforward, but with like a few little hints of things, I was like, okay, cool. But you know, it's like, man, we're in the afterlife. Nothing means anything. All the rules are fast and loose, and it's just, I can't wait for 10.0 and the lore to be in a different setting, to be honest with you.
And I do think that with retail WoW, this is something that they've, I think, kind of fallen a little bit behind on. And the way that Final Fantasy tells stories is, I think, much more, it's much easier to understand, and it's much easier to do than if, let's say, I guess I can just use what I said before, right? I wanted to like talk around it and not use the same example that I used before, but Final Fantasy tells the story in tweets, and WoW tells them in twit longer.
Literally, the story is mediocre to say the least, even though I only have done 2 weeks worth of questing, and many things are not a big surprise for me, because I have learned them from watching cinematics from the PTR. And yes, this has ruined the story for me for a bit, but I goddamn can experience the same shit from watching someone like Alterius or No One 182 and not need to worry about paying a subscription fee or fucking waiting for weeks on weeks for the lore to be released. Heck, if you even want to deep dive into the lore, just go to Noble's channel and watch the entire history of WoW for free. And never worry about paying for the game. What's worse, that this is not my lone opinion. Many other WoW lore enthusiasts said that the story of so far is so shallow and mad that it feels like the story writers of WoW don't even read their own shit and just randomly type like fucking stupid monkeys smashing on a typewriter. And you might say, well, questing is only a very small and casual part of the game. Most players do PvP or PvE. Okay, they have added a new mega dungeon Savix to WoW, but it only rewards up to 2 to 6 item level gear, which for most part is the entrance item level requirement for the normal Sanctum Domination raid. Doing other normal mythics gives you 210 item level gear. You need to do Mythic Plus to get proper gear, and if you're a filthy casual like me, who doesn't have a proper group to do it with or the time to get a group, it makes it way harder to get max gear in the game. Well, that's the point, you filthy casual. Play the game, you won't get good rewards for being a filthy casual. Yeah, that would be logical if I wasn't paying a fucking subscription every single month. As a paying customer, I want to be able to get the rewards as the rest of the player base who dedicate more time to the game. Of course, I would expect it to take longer for me to get up to gear than the rest of the player base, but at this very moment of time, there is no such system for casual solo players. Heck, the solo player experience is quite fucking depressing because the main things you can do is just the weekly quests and dailies, and that's it. There is nothing really something to do. Also, a big problem is that if you had played more competitively in 9.0 by doing raids and Mythic Plus, it hasn't really changed in 9.1. You will be still running the same 8 dungeons over and over again. The new anima power affixes really helped to make it somewhat more interesting, but it's still the same fucking 8 dungeons for 9 months. Anyway, getting back to the casual experience, doing World Quest Animal Collection Covenant Callings after a while just gets repetitive. Of course they added Covenant Assaults and Dailies in 9.1, but it only makes it more grindier. Back in MoP you knew that what you were grinding for. Heck, I know I will sound like a sociopath, but I actually like the dailies. I like the dailies in Miss of Pandaria. They felt good and I always woke up and enjoyed doing them. They felt different, each reputation having their own unique dailies and areas, which is like now at times seems insane. Heck, I remember getting exalted with each different faction and receiving awesome mounts and rewards. The Klaxi especially. It felt meaningful, but now the daily grind is like this. Go to your sanctum, pick up the same, do 3 dailies, 4 dailies or collection quests in one of the Shadowlands areas, go to the area to do 3 to 4 dailies or kill some rares, go back to your sanctum and get rewarded with some gold. And this can get quite old quite fast. There is no end in sight. The previous expansion packs at least had an end. When you got exalted, you could buy all the things and go do the other things that make you want to play the game, like BGs or other PvP or PvE content. But now it's just a never-ending chore of doing the same old shit over and over again. And as I said previously, it doesn't help that the rewards are locked behind very grindy anima system or a RNG system like the Paragon boxes. All this reminds me of a couple of months ago when I tried to unlock flying in BFA areas. To unlock it, you had to earn Revered with all the factions up to Macagon and finish the campaign storyline. I finished the campaign in a few days, then I started to do the World Quest to get Revered. It took me a month or so to get all the factions up to Revered. Also, I did other content from BFA and it was a grind. Finally I got Revered and got the achievement. I mounted up and thought, finally I will fly. I jumped and that's it, I jumped. I didn't understand. What did I do wrong? I thought I could finally fly, but in the small script it said that I need to get Revered with Macagon Resistance and the Unshackled. I hardly did any content with them, because I thought I just need to explore Najatar and Macagon, and that's it. I thought to myself, it can be such a grind. But oh boy was I wrong. I instantly quit doing them and realized it isn't time for me to get flying in BFA. Oh, you got to the halfway point of the video. If you got this far, you might enjoy my future content. This video took me quite a while to finish, so I would much appreciate it if you would hit a like and subscribe. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the video. And that has put me off doing BFA stuff ever since. I didn't even dare to stare at this direction. Now I understand why so many players hate BFA with a passion. It's an abomination and a failure of an expansion pack. And the anima grind to unlock the mounts and the transmog takes even more time and more dedication, because you need to ride to the World Quest, which can take up like 30% of the time. It just makes me sad to think about how, rather than having just fun in a game playing it, you're forced to grind to get rewards. Most of the player base are grown-ups who have jobs and families, goals and aspirations to achieve something in life. WoW is just a side hobby, like other games like Call of Duty or Fortnite. But in this game you are forced to do monotonous solo shit to get rewards that don't even feel rewarding. But you can play PvP. Yes, PvP, the middle ground between casual and dedicated player base. I could pop into a queue, wait 7 to 14 minutes and kill the opposite faction, but that is if you have enough gear to even fight them. The dedicated player base would have much better conquest gear than you could ever have, just because they have a certain rating in rated arenas or battlegrounds. Because if you don't have the necessary gear, then it's GG. You will constantly die to some fucking warrior one-shotting you over and over again. And of course, if you could try to go to looking for group and try to find a team to do RBGs or people to do arenas with, but if you don't have the experience like me, nobody will invite you. And still you have to face the problem of boosters. They will just destroy you if you don't have enough gear and lower ratings. But if you really want to gear up fast, you're more likely to do RBGs, because doing arenas gives dogshit conquest points. A measly 25 per win. Like WTF. It would take me 40 wins to get just 1000 conquest points. 40 fucking wins. That is just absurd. Each 3 versus 3 arena game on average can take 5 minutes. So to get 1000 conquest points from arena, you would have to play 3 to 4 hours. And this is in the best case scenario if you win 40 games in a row. Most oftenly you won't, so it might take you up to 5 hours of arenas. And I don't know, but I honestly don't even have friends who would want to play with me for that long just to get that much conquest points. So arena is obviously not the path to go if you want to gear up fast. So let's try doing RBGs. Wait, with who? Who would invite a player with no rating, with no current experience, no gear to an RBG team? Heck, even if I get invited and we lose, the team will simply disband after the first loss.
So I'm gonna start a rated BG group. What do you think is gonna happen? A, if we lose, the team's gonna stick together and bust it out and try to get another game? Or B, do you think the group's gonna fall apart? YOLO Easy Win. It's a good name. I'm gonna put a timer just to see how long it takes to get this team together. Okay, group comp not looking too bad so far. That only took 15 minutes to find 3 healers. I was kind of scared of the group dying, so I literally just picked up all the healers I could. So we have like a 203 item level healers. So hopefully this is going good.
Let's do this.
Oh, there goes one. Okay. Yep. Keep going. Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. Right there, that's the LG experience that everyone's fighting for.
This just shows how hard it is to simply get into PvP without friends. Unless you have an abundance of gold, then you can get carried to the point where you have the best gear. It just makes it worse that there is a theoretical system that could work, and players like Stoopz and Savix have been screaming about it for fucking years. Yes, I am talking about solo queue. A system that might fix the problem that most players simply cannot find other players to play with, or can get the proper time dedicated to play with them. And it feels like the player base knows better how the game should be. It feels like the game should be where players would enjoy spending their time. But at this very moment, neither me nor the wider majority of the player base is enjoying WoW. Most of them are leaving the game for much more enjoyable games like Final Fantasy XIV and upcoming Ashes of Creation and New World. Heck, the mass media WoW is one of the reasons why I even considered quitting. Seeing players and huge influencers from the WoW community leave WoW, having watched Asmongold have fun in different games was one of the most eye-opening moments for me. I thought to myself, wait, if he is having fun playing other games than WoW, maybe I will be able to have fun as well. And weirdly enough, I did have fun playing other games, and not playing WoW. From the day I put WoW on the shelf, once again I felt free from the chains of addiction. P.S. I wrote the script before the major sexual harassment lawsuit that Blizzard is facing. When I saw the lawsuit, I realized that this can be good for WoW. With this lawsuit, many other WoW big creators like Preach and MadSeason left the game. I haven't dug deep into the lawsuit. All I can say that this is a sign of how absolute disillusioned the developers are, not only from the game, but also from the wider world. Also, seeing Bellular, Asmongold and others criticize the game really woke me up from my hangover with WoW. Seeing multiple titles like WoW is dying, Mass Exodus to Final Fantasy XIV really made me think about the real state of the game without any addiction or nostalgic effects on me. And after playing Final Fantasy XIV online for a while, I can see why many people left WoW in the dust. Final Fantasy is so fresh, it gives the feeling of being a solo adventurer who's only making his name known. It brings back the memories of when I played in Cataclysm and I was a mere nobody. It felt like the world was mine to explore and see. It brought back the feelings I once had while playing WoW, and I got to say, I miss that feeling. And in Final Fantasy, I don't feel like I need to turn on the game daily. I can play it on my own pace and have my own fun. It doesn't feel forced or out of habit. Like if you're playing a game just out of habit and no longer are having fun, Maybe it is time to consider if it is worth your time. Life has so much to offer, so many experiences to be found, so many things to be done, so many different people to be met, and if you are wasting your time on a game that is no longer giving you pleasure, it is time to put it in the trash and move on. That's what I did. Because I really started to enjoy editing videos using animation software to create a project that has been in my mind for a long time, and they don't require me to commit certain hours. When I raided, the time we raided was from 8 to 12 p.m. My job starts at 6 a.m. So to get ready, I have to wake up at 5, if not earlier. And that is insane, and I did that for like 4 months. Raids were pretty much the only fun thing that was in WoW, but they also required a lot of time from me. Not only that, but they also require me to play the game on non-raiding time as well, because I had to min-max. Heck, just being able to have a stable sleep schedule could be a good reason to quit a game. Without WoW, I have so much more time to spend towards the things that really excite me. Heck, I even have enough time to start going to kickboxing lessons. Even though they beat the living shit out of me constantly, I still find purpose, progress, and fun in them. I couldn't say the same about WoW. In WoW you get beaten up by the grind and have zero fun. And this isn't like some tirade against World of Warcraft. I wish it would get its mojo back. I wish it could be as fun and attractive as it once was. I wish it would be worth a monthly subscription. I wish it would bring back the feelings that I feel playing Final Fantasy XIV. Back in Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria, I couldn't stop giving my money to Blizzard. I constantly renewed my subscription and didn't miss a single day of gameplay. But now I hardly could log into 2 to 3 times a week. I wish there was a solo queue system for me to play at my own time, or a Dungeon Mythic Plus solo queue system for me to experience the full range of the game from PvP to PvE. But there aren't such systems for that, and solo casual players are just paying for nothing. Heck, even Classic isn't worth a subscription. If you had ever quested through Outlands or Northrend, they are no longer as interesting as they could be. You already know the story. And the same problem of time commitment and gear requirements plague Classic. It's a game for players who have the time to commit. If you want to quest, most areas will be even harder than they were a year before, because very few players are leveling in the vanilla zones and most of them are getting boosted in the dungeons. So you will go through the barrens and not see a single soul in a dangerous place, which makes it even more depressing. In conclusion, I have quit WoW because of these factors. Time requirement, time gates to have fun, the big wait between patch 9.0 and 9.1, and it will only get longer to wait for the next patch because due to the walkout of the Blizzard employees due to the recent problems. Not enough new content to tell yourself the game is worth a monthly subscription. Literally, if you want to experience the game and the story, just come back in a couple of months later to do the Covenant quest in a week and unsubscribe later on. You're welcome. The main story of the expansion pack is mad to say the least. Even though they have done a lot, like adding animal powers and mythic dungeons and making torghast somewhat interesting, it isn't enough to converse players to especially casuals to play them. Most things like dailies, animal collection and world quest felt more of a drag and a chore rather than having fun. Hard to get into PvP if you're a latecomer. The gear catch-up is atrocious and the conquest point acquisition is just bad. No solo queue system for solo players to use. The social atmosphere, people quitting WoW en masse, Asmongold and other YouTube stars heavily criticizing WoW. The recent Blizzard lawsuit. There are other hobbies and games that are more enjoyable than WoW. And the funniest thing of all is that they could probably fix most of these issues with one single system, the solo queue system. But sadly, from the comments that the developers made, there are no plans of making such a system, which is very sad. And with all the stuff that Blizzard is dealing with, I hardly think they will have the time or the resources to create more content in the coming next 2 years. Especially with a lawsuit saying that the Blizzard culture is quite toxic. I know this is a cliche and that people have been saying this ever since Cataclysm, but I really think this might be the end of WoW as we know it. Because not only Blizzard has to deal with the delays, but also a disenfranchised audience which had enough of their bullshit, and now a lawsuit that will hamper their ability to hire new talent. Maybe, just maybe, one day will come when WoW will rise from the ashes like it did in Legion, and become the great again. Maybe one day it will be fun, maybe one day the devs will once again get in touch with the game. Maybe one day they will prioritize content rather than the systems they implement. And maybe one day they will put in the solo queue system, because on that day we will make Azeroth great again.